Hello, and welcome to Books and Beyond. My name is Jimmy Bennett. I'm your host. Books and Beyond is the show where we try to help people personify their aspirations. Um, I have a very special guest today, Rose Young,
Hi, Jim.
who is a fellow CAPA member of the Connecticut Authors and Publishers Association and a fantastic writer, a fellow mystery writer. So I'd like to just welcome Rose and say hi. Yeah. And I'll tell you a little bit about her book. Her book is called Roses, Wine, and Murder in the City of Steeples. And on October 11th, Rose's book was top 3 on Amazon Cozy Mysteries and top 10 in suspense. And you got a gazillion downloads, right? Thousands, right?
1,600 downloads in
800?
one day.
Yeah. That's just incredible.
It was fabulous.
So actually, I'm probably talking. People out there probably actually know what I'm talking about. The story is based in southeastern Connecticut in New London. It goes from vineyards, beautiful vineyards, to all through the city of New London, right?
Yes.
Interesting, great characters. And actually, I want to read a little review right out of the book because I loved it. It said, this picturesque setting, coupled with a gripping plot, with wine dinners, poisonous plants, and a gritty investigation makes the story a memorial one. An exciting read, intelligently plotted and accomplished in a masterly finish. A must-read from one of today's best storytellers. So, and Rose, you're a local girl, right? You're from...
Yes, I live in New London County, and I just was enamored by New London because there was so much history, the beautiful architecture when you look for it, so many churches because of the sea captains who had been whaling here way back when and invested in their religious belief and funded the churches being built. And so that's why I have the tagline in the city of Steeples, which I'm coining for New London. And I just really thought that New London's beautiful oceanside scenery, and then it's connected not far away to the vineyard region of all around Long Island Sound, because that's where grapes grow best, near the water and the temperate climate. So, I've enjoyed including New London and the whole environs of Mystic and Groton, all the way to Long Island on the ferry.
Yeah, now you've taken the ferry over. Do you go to the North Fork, to the vineyards there?
Yes, I would take the ferry to the North Fork and take note of all the lighthouses along the way and the fishing areas. I include that in the story.
Oh, nice.
And then we go to some of the vineyards at the North Fork. There's Pominock Vineyards, Bedell Cellars, Wolfer Vineyards. They're all in the story when Georgie, one of my main characters, is having a wine dinner at the Vino Verde wine bar, which is all part of the story.
Oh.
And also, we go to a fictional vineyard where one of the vineyard owners is suspiciously not around anymore.
Okay. See, that's great the way you put that in, and that's the wonderful thing about writing fictional stories and stuff. I mean, my stories are all set in Hadlime or Chester and
Yes.
stuff, but obviously, some of the places I had to make up just
Yes.
because it, helps the story move along.
Right.
But that's all right. I mean, that's all part of the storytelling.
Exactly. When I was a landscape designer, I lived in Concord area of Massachusetts, and one of my clients was Robert Parker, and he's a famous novelist.
yeah,
It's
Spencer for Hire.
now passed
Yeah.
away, but he was one of my clients. Him and his wife were good friends of mine for like 10 years, but he had Boston as a locale, and then you can kind of work with the city streets and some of the historic places that but then fill in your characters.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun that way.
Yeah, it is. It is. I try to be as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
Just because, and I'm sure that's like the fun thing about you writing about New London. When you go to New London, you can actually be in these same spots. It
Yes.
gives you a closer connection to it. Which
Yeah,
is,
I've
you
even
know.
had people ask me, can you give us a tour of where Georgie and Roxanne traveled through and some of the sites like Fort Trumbull or St. James Episcopal Church or, some of these locations. And I thought, gee, maybe one day when there's no COVID,
Yeah,
I can get a little shuttle and we
yeah.
can go tour
Yeah,
around.
do a
And
little mystery tour.
yeah,
A little
that would
mystery
be
tour in
fun.
London. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, we're all struggling through this COVID.
Yeah.
Obviously, and it's going to be a little harder. I know. It's funny. I miss, and we've done some events together,
Yeah.
book signs and stuff, and that's one of my favorite things. I
Yeah.
love to sit there. I love to talk to people.
Yeah.
I love to talk about my book one-on-one with people, and
I know.
and it's really been tough.
I know, yeah.
Without
Yeah.
and it just impacts. So like this Halloween, I'm not even sure, but I mean we're getting really close to Halloween.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's this is also a good time. Uh, mysteries. Why do you think mysteries are so popular around
Well, I was thinking
Halloween?
about that because, I was wondering if my book had done so well because it's around this time of year and near Halloween and people are liking to decorate and, some places have gone far out with skeletons all over their lawns and spiders all over their house. But what is that about? Because those are actually scary, right? And so I was thinking, big kids and little kids like to dress up and look scary or be a little scared. They'll go to a haunted house or whatever. And I think that that's what our mysteries are popular is because they're having fun doing it. And so we may be writing about a crime scene and following a murderer and creating a plot that puzzles people. Well, you're doing it from a comfy chair.
Right.
You're comfortable, and so you're in control and
Yep.
you're, trying to figure out the puzzle of
Right.
who did it,
Right. Well, I think that's the beautiful thing about mysteries and books. Everybody loves a good story. We've all heard stories. You take them in. Sometimes you get a moral out of it, or you get information out of it, or just pure entertainment, and that's good. But a mystery, not only I think, a mystery really engages you. It engages your mind. You don't. It's not like you put the book down and think, well, I'll go back and find out what he does later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you reading a mystery and you put it down, you're like thinking, where's this going? What happened?
Yeah.
Did I miss something, or is it something there? And that's what I've always loved about it.
Me too.
And you especially too, and I'm a big fan of this. Is I like mysteries that you can figure out
Yes.
if you're
paying attention.
paying attention. If you can
Yeah.
if you can see everything and you can put the two and two together,
Yeah.
you can figure it out.
Yeah.
And I always admired that. I mean, I love like Robert B. Parker. I love Spencer for Hire. I read every one of his books, but they're pretty much he just pulls on a string and just keeps going and going and going. There's no real mystery to it. It's just you don't know what's going on until he writes it down in the book.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's but when you with Agatha Christie and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, people like that, they put those in there.
Yes.
And I struggle very hard, and I know that you do too.
Yes, I do.
You struggle very hard to make sure that those breadcrumbs are laid out.
That's right.
And there's no gaps and
Yes.
stuff. And do you ever have people like calling you on things in your book?
Yes, I had one person say, "Hey, Georgie didn't get the money back yet," and I said, "You've got to wait for the second book."
Yeah, there you go. See, that's good though. I mean, that's what's good about it. That's what makes people think. You know what I mean? A lot of people used to call me on because mine are set in the early 1900s, so
Yes.
I have a lot more leeway about how I'm gonna describe things. I think
Yes.
But people called me on. I use the term the Big Apple, New York, and this guy called me and says, I don't think in 1915 they used the Big Apple.
Oh.
But he did the research on it, and yes, they did use the Big Apple.
Yeah.
So it's fun that way.
Yes,
I think
it
that's
is.
you know?
Yeah, because I hit a clue in my prologue right in the beginning. But
Did you really?
and I bet you
I missed
nobody
that.
knew that a small clue was left that made sense throughout the whole story until you got to the end. Then you went, oh, that's what that was there
Yeah.
for.
Yep.
Yeah.
I say this to people, and I was talking to another fellow writer about this, and I said I think the difference is like, I mean, television is wonderful. I mean, there are some very great stories and
Yes.
stuff like that, but they don't. They're way past the days of trying to engage you or make you think about what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's nice to have a.
it's
We like
yeah.
to solve problems.
Right.
I think that's what
and
it
that's
is.
the difference. I mean, a mystery book will make you think and make you use your little gray cells.
Yes.
TV kind of just throws up on you. You know what I mean? You just look down your lap and you go, oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
what.
yeah, we're
that's what
often
this is all
searching
about.
for something.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of documentaries because of that, and that's what I like to do because then I put facts into my
Right.
story,
Right.
and it becomes more interesting.
And I think people would be more than fascinated by the real history
Yeah.
and the real
Yeah.
real facts that happen. I mean, how many times do people come up with these facts from history and you go, oh wow,
Yeah, I didn't
I
know
didn't know
that.
that. I'm the same way. It always made me engage.
Yeah, yeah.
You think Halloween? I guess really is a good time for a mystery book, though, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
You think about it, it's getting
like,
a little
ooh, could get a
colder
little
out.
scared.
Yeah, you're right. It's time for a hot chocolate or a glass of wine, and
Yeah.
sit down in the and just read yourself into
Yeah.
peace. Which is nice. It's good. Have you now? Oh, this now. That brings me to this one. My next set of questions for
Sure.
you, because one thing I've always admired about you, and I love, and I'm always fascinated by it, is even when you post on Facebook
Yeah.
that you're here researching, you're
Yeah.
here researching, you're here researching,
Yes.
and I mean, I tell you, I really admire that.
Oh, thank you.
I try to do a lot of research, but mine's all through the internet and stuff. I mean, I go up to the castle once in a while, Gillette's Castle.
Oh, yes.
Where my books are set.
I know, I love
and
it.
I've gone around, I've took a million pictures, and I look it over and us. But it's so nice being present day. It's there.
Yeah,
right
you're
there.
right. It is
And-
nice being present
Yeah,
day.
well, I mean, it's you can really talk to the people that are there right then and there and get their
That's right.
their thing. So tell me
Yeah.
about that.
Well,
How's that?
I had fun going to a lot of the vineyards in the Connecticut region, like Mogul Sierra and Saltwater Farms, and Jonathan Edwards and Chamard and Priam, just to get the ambiance, because you need to put that setting into your story. You want to describe it properly. And then I asked a lot of questions. I was the one sitting down at the table asking the servers questions about wine, while my friends were having something to drink. and she's like, "You're writing this down?" It's like, "Yeah, I need to know." And so all the wine facts are true in the story. The wine and food pairings are true in the story. So I did a lot of research into the vintners, the vineyard owners, and what they suggested the wine and food pairing should be for a certain wine, because I don't know any of this.
Yeah.
And so that, is why I put that into the story, and Georgie presents it so well in his very flamboyant way. The other thing was that New London has a lot of city gardens that the New London Beautification Committee takes care of. And one of my friends worked for them, and I volunteered for a day. And actually, I hadn't decided on where my story was going to be until I had volunteered at Columbus Circle in New London. And when we were working on the garden, it just hit me, this is the perfect place for me to start my story. And New London and its streets, because the streets are very labyrinth-like, you can easily get lost in downtown if you don't know all the one-ways. But then you've got the Thames River and Ocean Beach and the beautiful waterways. You're watching the submarines go by. And so I put all of that into the story. it was fun to do it that way. And then I'll get on the ferry and go to Orient Point and drive all around, climb the Groton Monument steps all the way to the top. And I added that in the story because I have a character who says he walked those stairs with his father when he was young, and it was when he looked out the windows out to the water and he saw the sailing ships. That's when he knew that he wanted to be a sailor.
Yeah.
And so it helps me get into the character.
Right.
So
Right.
that's part of it.
Tell me now, what are some of the other? I'm trying to think, but you've also been a few museums, right? Art shops.
Yes. I went to the Coast Guard Museum and did a bunch of research there because I include a harrowing Coast Guard rescue in this story. And I wanted to know more, and I had to do a bit of research on them. And what happens if somebody falls in the water off a ferry in Long Island Sound? What happens? You know? And so I had to do the research on that and find out, that depending on where they are, New York may respond versus Connecticut.
I never really thought about that. Yeah.
So things like that.
I hope they stop and pick them up, but
Yeah, but local businesses I included, like Thames River Greenery Wine and Spirits. They have an amazing, who would know unless you travel in and you walk around, an amazing smoking lounge on the second floor, which is very moody and has a lot of character, old world character. They have the big old leather seating and so forth. It kind of seems like an bygone era men's club.
Yeah.
But of course, men and women are welcome. And when you walk into their shop, you can go into the back, and that's where they have their tastings with big candelabras. And then you can go upstairs and see the smoking lounge. And it's open for anybody to go to. You just walk on in and ask where it is.
This day and
Yeah.
age, they still had smoking lounges.
One of my villains ends up in the smoking lounge.
All right.
And Fred, who is the owner of Fred and Charlotte own the Thames River Wine and Spirits. He is in the story too as a character that talks to the detective about the man that had smoked a Gurkha cigar.
Now, do you put have you put many local people in your?
I don't necessarily put the people. Everybody is fictional. I say, can I use your name? Do you mind?
Okay.
And I'll let you read what I'm putting in. And some I say, do you want a alias? That's if I'm kind of mentioning a shop owner, for instance. And it's a very small piece of the story.
I did the same thing. I used a lot of people's names, though I often explain to them that just because I use your name and you were the murderer is not how I think of you. But I found it was a lot easier for me when I named my characters after people I know, because then I had a face in my head.
Sure, yeah.
And a body type.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
so when I wrote, it was easier to, I don't know, for some reason it's just easier if I have that visual in my head.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can for instance, Muddy Waters is in my story, the coffee shop on Bank Street. And Georgie and Roxanne love going there and getting a coffee and an apple tart or a scone. And I think of Muddy Waters as a place where you can sit in a corner with a cup of coffee and you can just watch the people go by. And you can get good ideas for characters there too.
Now, do you like Roxanne? Are you Roxanne?
No, I am. Roxanne is a combination of two people, and partially me and partially my friend Ann. And so I put our names together.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And I've got a little bit of her and how I know her, and a little bit of me, and then I exaggerate every character,
right.
Because like Fire Chief Sampson, who's Roxanne's husband, he is a man I know, but also I think of my grandfather and my grandmother, and their relationship was like Roxanne and Sam's relationship in the story, sweet.
Yep.
a nice relationship. So, it's like
What about
that.
Georgie?
Georgie is actually based on quite a few friends a conglomerate.
Okay.
I went to New England School of Art and Design, and almost every guy in my class was a flamboyant guy. And so, as designers and in the artistic creative field, and they were very good friends of mine. And I loved their love of life. They
Right.
just had a positive attitude and fun. And so I ended up putting Georgie from them. I took their type of characters and put them into Georgie. So, because I miss them, I don't see them anymore.
Yeah.
And so I get to create a character
Right,
who I enjoy. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, this is one, because I'm fascinated by this,
Yeah.
is you just came out with an audiobook.
Yeah, of this
Yep.
book, I just hired a company, Audio Sorceress, to do the audiobook. They sent me 5 auditions, which was very interesting because I said, I think I need a male to read the story. And so I said, but I'm going to ask what you think. And they read some of the book and they agreed. So then they sent me 5 auditions. For each one spoke for 5 minutes, reading a portion of the book that I asked so that I could see how they covered the different characters. So I gave them like 4 characters to cover, the main ones. I needed to hear how are they going to speak like them, and also narrate. And what occurred was out of 5, some were close with one character, some were close with another character, and I finally got to the last one, and he had every character down perfect.
Oh, good.
Especially Georgie, who is very difficult because I made him very flamboyant and
Yep.
and exaggerated in this story, and if that wasn't right, it wouldn't be right.
Right.
And so he did it perfectly, and he also did what was very important to me, Detective Morrison. Detective Morrison had to have the right voice. And some of them had come across like too old or old-fashioned even. And so he was perfect for this.
Great.
Yeah.
You know what? We have a clip. Frank, can you run that clip?
The mysterious agent slipped into the alleyway of the posh Harlow Towers condominiums. Compact gear clung to his muscular form as he scaled with purpose and dexterity the grated ironwork of the tower's parking garage. Its architects unwittingly provided perfect hand and footholds for him to reach the third-floor roof. From his backpack, the undercover operator took a rope and small grappling hook and adroitly launched it onto a railing on a balcony far above. With the ability of a mountaineer, he plied the rope, hand over fist, and ascended to the 8th-floor penthouse. Retrieving and packing his gear, he opened the unlocked balcony door. After searching the premises, he had nothing more to accomplish at the Vino Verde. Making his way down the stairs, he grabbed 2 bottles of French Cabernet Sauvignon before slipping into the night.
Wow. That is great.
Oh, thanks.
Wow,
they did a good job in presenting the story. Yeah.
Yep. And the narrator, who was the narrator?
Oh, the narrator is Eric Aldaidi, and he belongs to SAG, so he's a Screen Actors Guild professional.
Remember,
And he is the theater director at the University of Southern Indiana.
Oh,
so
wow.
this guy is so good.
Yeah.
And just portrayed my characters so well. The narration, he made them distinctive so that you could imagine them, and it enhances the story. You can, nowadays, especially with COVID, audiobooks are very, very popular because people are doing their chores, they're doing their errands, they're in the car, and they can listen to an audiobook or go on a walk in the woods and listen to an audiobook. So a lot of days, many are preferring it. So it's really hot,
That is wonderful. You're right. I tell you, that's one thing, because people have approached me and said, "Are you going to do an audiobook? Are you going to have?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." But I am shocked about how many people I know who tell me the same thing.
Yeah.
that, you think about audiobooks. I always thought, well, you put it in the car, but you're only going to listen to 10 minutes on the way to work or 15 minutes here. How can you really get into it?
Yeah.
But then now I'm seeing people, like you see people walking around with earbuds.
Yep.
Chances are they're actually listening to a book, which
Yeah.
is wonderful. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I just think that's fantastic. Did you have to change anything in the book to make the narration easier?
I didn't change a thing.
Beautiful.
I've just heard it for the first time
Yeah,
this
you were
weekend.
telling me, yeah, you were.
So I've just listened to the whole book. There's a couple pronunciations I have to have him correct, but basically that's it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, you have a new book coming out.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay, yes.
All right.
Love of Art and Murder, From Mystic to the City of Steeples. And isn't that artwork beautiful?
That is.
Cindy Samuel, who is the illustrator, she lives in New London. I have quite a few friends that live in New London, and so she did a tremendous job. Yeah.
And this is the same characters.
It's the same characters in new scenes.
Yes,
where,
I'm fascinated because I'm a Mystic boy.
yes.
So from Mystic to
Yes.
So
Yes, so I include Daniel Packard Inn.
Okay.
Captain Daniel Packard Inn. The Mystic Library, which is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful library.
The Elm Grove Cemetery.
Yep.
Yeah. And Mystic Seaport Museum. And one of my main characters, he is Carl, and he is a curator at the Mystic Art Museum.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be fictional in my story,
Yeah.
but, I get a lot of insights
Yeah.
from the Mystic Museum of Art. And also, the art world, artists, and it's about the business of buying and selling and stealing art.
Oh, okay.
And I interviewed many people in New London, the artists that live there, because we go from New London to Mystic and back throughout the story. And then Carl, the curator, takes us to Boston and back.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to visit museums in Connecticut, and we'll, be
Yeah.
on a new adventure. And I'll be happy to come back when that book comes out.
Yeah, how much
you
longer
know.
do you think you have for that?
Oh, I don't know, because I would like it to be a few months. I would love it at the
You know
beginning of
what?
the year.
Do it at your pace. Will you feel comfortable? You feel
have
good about.
to, yeah.
For a while, I've been putting out like almost a book a year. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's
But,
great.
This year, I decided I was all crazy about trying to finish one and stuff, and then I said to myself, you know what?
Yeah.
And actually, I put it aside, and I decided to give Murder and Mayhem a break for a little while.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm making a little
It's
something
different this year, and it's changed all our schedules,
Yeah,
and we have more different priorities
Yeah,
with the virus.
It is tough, but we'll get through it. You
We
know what
will.
I mean? And best
We'll
way to
get
get
through
through
it.
it, folks, is get yourself a nice, cozy mystery. All right? Get yourself a good book. Sit down, relax, take your mind off of things.
Yes, thank
instead
you
of
for
stressing
coming.
out.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate
Rose,
it.
are you
Thank
kidding
you.
me?
Yeah.
It was wonderful. I mean, and when the book comes out again, you're coming back.
Oh, thank
We're
you.
going to do it again. There's a lot that I'd like to talk about, and perhaps eventually here we'll go on about the Guard and
Yes,
how
yes.
how the Guard's going to, how we're all trying to survive through this. you know.
Yes, yes.
And I will definitely see you at the next Kappa.
Okay,
meeting.
yes, I'll see you there.
That's the third Monday of every month. Zoom, go to the Southeastern Connecticut Kappa page, and you can get the time in the link.
Anyone that wants to write a book or
Yep.
is an author is welcome.
Yep.
Yeah.
And hey, good luck with your audiobook.
Thank
and
you.
Good luck with your next one too. All
I
right.
appreciate that so much. Thank
all right.
you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Yeah.
This has been Books and Beyond. I'm Jimmy Bennett. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Stay healthy and stay safe.